Phillips, and I would like to welcome you to Beer-ieve or Not, Episode 2. Today, I'm going to be reviewing this Schlafly Tripel, which is made by the St. Louis Brewery in St. Louis, Missouri. I paid $8.99 for this at a local liquor store. I've seen it at some stores for as little as $7.99. So that's for people who live in St. Louis. If you live in, for example, Kansas or Illinois or Mississippi, Kentucky, one of the other states that Schlafly distributes in, you might be able to find this, but it might be a little bit more. And it might be a little bit harder to find than it is here because you can get it at pretty much any grocery store or liquor store. Now, as to whether it's worth $7.99, $8.99, or even more, I'll be able to answer that question for you when we crack this open in just a few moments. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about what a triple is and what that really means. So here's how it works. This is a Belgian style ale and a Trappist style ale. And here's what that means. In the 18th century, according to the research I did, there were some monasteries or abbeys inside of Belgium which began brewing beer for the exclusive consumption of the abbots and the monks who lived in those establishments. They were good for keeping warm during the winter, good for staying nourished when people were ill or didn't have opportunity to go out. But I guess eventually the abbots, the monks, figured out what side the bread was buttered on, and eventually it became possible for just regular people who lived in the area to be able to try these brews. But to actually call yourself a Belgian Abbey ale, not Belgian style or Abbey style, but Belgian Trappist or Belgian Abbey ale, there are 14 or I believe maybe 15 established abbeys inside of Belgium which are allowed to call themselves Trappist. So this is a style. It is similar to what you may get in one of those places, but it is not exactly the same. But that doesn't mean that it's not good, and we're going to check this out in just a minute. This is a triple, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that means. There are kind of 4 gradations of these Abbey-style ales, going from the kind that has the least hops, the least malt, and the least amount of alcohol, to the most malt, more hops, and the most amount of alcohol. And they are in this order from lowest to highest. You have an enkel, which means single. Then you have your double, D-U-B-B-E-L, instead of the way it's spelled in English, but which means double, duh. Triple, T-R-I-P-E-L, means the same thing as triple in English. And then your quadruple, which I believe is self-explanatory. As you go from enkel to quadruple, the beers become more complex, more flavorful, but they also end up having more alcohol. So this triple is relatively strong. This is about 10%, and I think that's actually a little bit high for a triple because I've actually seen some quadruples which are only about 10%. So another thing to note about this beer, this is not a screw top. This has to be pulled out from the bottle opener. So once this is open, you're going to want to finish it all to keep it from getting all oxidized and nasty and not good tasting anymore. So if you cannot drink an entire 750 milliliter bottle by yourself, you might want to bring over a friend or two, and then you shouldn't have as much of a problem finishing, but you should still feel it because this is pretty aggressive as far as the alcohol content goes. Now, here's something, and in the last episode I don't think that I talked about that this much. I think I pulled the beer directly out of the refrigerator and started drinking. But these kind of more complex beers, what you want to do with them is you don't want them to be ice cold. Like this still has some condensation on it because I just pulled it from the refrigerator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit here for about 15 minutes or so. You might want to do a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, and let it kind of warm up and kind of get some complexity to it. And after that, we're going to pop this top and we're going to try it, and I'll give you my impressions. So I'll see you in about 15 minutes. I'm going to be drinking from a tulip glass. This shape here is going to kind of allow for head retention, which is good because that'll give you a better it'll kind of hold some flavor and give you a better sense of what's going on with this beer. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this bottle up. There's like a little smokestack there. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour. And like, this is a massive amount of head. Now I don't know if that's normal, but we're still going to be able to get some flavor out of this. So the first thing we're going to do is smell this here. And I can smell some yeast. I can smell some fruit. Very, very sweet smelling. Yeah, kind of like so a little bit of banana. So it's kind of like a very yeasty, sweet smelling kind of banana bread kind of deal going on there. So we're going to go ahead and taste this now. This is very, very fizzy. I wish I had a high def camera because you'd be able to see all of the carbonation that's rising up there. Yeah, that banana's there, kind of spicy, a little bit of banana, some yeast, very, very tingly. I have to say that I do like this. I wish that the head hadn't floated up so much, but that could have been because of my pour. Yeah, so I've had some doubles before, and I can definitely tell a huge difference as far as the intensity of the flavor here. I guess if I were going to pair this with food, which I very rarely do, I'd probably want to do this with like some type of really old cheese or like a piece of pie maybe. Something really like sweet and rich. This would go really well with, I think. Okay, the head was kind of concerning me, so what I did was I went ahead and I poured another glass, and as I suspect, it does still have quite a bit of head, but that's more a function of this glass because, like I said, it's designed for head retention to kind of keep some of that flavor in there. But this came out a lot better, and the flavor is still there. So, here are my final thoughts on this beer. I think, for price, I think as far as for people who don't live in the St. Louis area, you might have to go through a little bit more effort. I would still seek this out. I would definitely still seek this out. But I'm actually really enjoying this. So on that note, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to enjoy this and what's left in the bottle. And I'm going to bid you farewell until the next episode of Beer-ieve or Not. So thank you very much for viewing. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions for other beers that I might want to review, please go ahead and leave some comments. I do read those, and it'll kind of help me make things better. Keep enjoying beer. Thanks.